The word of the week in the U.S. is bombshell. I don't think I've ever heard that word said quite as much as I have heard this week, and it's all about that congressional hearing. I mean, those things are usually super boring, but the one thing this week was not boring at all. Not just for people in the U.S., but, well, for people around the world who watch what happened in a session of Congress. It was like seeing that ice dragon come to life in the Game of Thrones. It was just riveting television. There have been several hearings in regards to Donald Trump. You know, everybody's waiting for that smoking gun, but somehow it just never quite comes to light. Well, this week it appears that they might have at least pulled out a gun and at least laid it on the table. See, the guy giving the testimony about Donald Trump was his lawyer, Michael Cohen. And I guess he had some time to kill because he had a 9-hour open door talk full of testimony for everyone to hear. Actually, Michael doesn't really have much time to kill. You see, he's going to jail. In several weeks, he will be reporting for jail. Another one of Trump's inner circle that's going down. But this guy is not going down without swinging. You see, part of the reason he's going to jail is he lied. He lied under oath while talking to this same group of guys and women. In the U.S., you can lie about almost anything. You can lie and get caught lying. But if you get caught lying to these people, well, there's a good chance that you're going to jail. So before going to jail, Michael Cohen had decided that he was going to tell the truth. Now, how do we know he's not lying after he was convicted of lying before? Well, if he lies this time, he could really go to jail, like long term. So he has a good incentive here not to lie. But still, how can you trust this guy? Well, he anticipated that, so he decided to bring some proof that he's telling the truth this time. And here's where the bombshell started to drop. First off, Cohen started his testimony calling the president of the U.S., his boss, a racist, a con man, and a cheat. Okay, fine. Trump is a racist. I don't really need to elaborate on that. He's a con man. Okay, fine. We all know about Trump University and how Trump lost in court big time. And Trump is a cheat. Well, we don't need to go into all the hordes of people that are suing him for cheating them. But who really cares? We all know this already. And his supporters and the Republicans don't really care. No great revelations, but that was just the opening scene. The juice really started flowing right as the first question started coming out from the congressman. Okay, let's start at the top of the list here. Cohen said that he was in a meeting in which Donald Trump Jr. told his father about the infamous Trump Tower meeting with the Russians to get dirt on Hillary Clinton. Trump said he didn't know anything about that meeting, but according to Cohen, he did. Also, Cohen was in the room when Roger Stone, who's under indictment, by the way, called Trump to tell him that WikiLeaks was going to dump the Clinton emails stolen by the Russians. Cohen said they were on speakerphone, so he heard every single word. Trump totally denied he ever knew anything about those emails, even though he made a speech just before they were released asking the Russians to find all those Clinton emails. Remember that? But here again, we already knew all of this kind of before. And of course, Trump is always going to deny it. So Roger Stone, maybe he flips on Trump, and he will, I betcha. Then the collusion with Russian business is going to open up again. But still, it's just showing that Trump lied. Nothing earth-shattering. Then came up one of the reasons that Cohen is going to jail. He broke campaign finance law just before the election. A porn star that Trump allegedly had sex with. Okay, he had sex with her. But what's the big deal about that? Many world leaders have sex with porn stars while their wives are pregnant, right? Anyway, Michael paid this woman off not to tell her story. Fine, it happens. However, he paid her $130,000 not to talk to anyone because of the election. So now this is a campaign donation, which he didn't report, and that is punishable by prison, which he is now going to. Trump said he knew nothing about this payment, so he didn't commit any crime, only Michael Cohen did. Michael Cohen was saying all along Trump knew everything and told him to pay her. But Trump said he knew nothing about it and never had sex with a porn star. Well, Michael managed to find a check clearly signed by Donald Trump for $35,000 that Trump had given to Michael while Trump was the president as payment for the porn star. And this is a criminal act. Put a pin in that one. Now, Michael also mentioned that Trump had him lie to his wife Melania Trump about the whole thing. That's bad, but not illegal. The real bombshell here is that copy of that check using secret funds for political gain during an election. Also, the owner of the National Enquirer, who paid $150,000 to the Playboy model who Trump had an affair with, you know, that whole thing with her story. They also paid $15,000 to a doorman who said Trump had a love child with the maid in the building, and the story of how Trump hit his wife in the elevator. Okay, well, this guy, his name's David Pecker, wanted to get paid back for all these times that he got Trump out of hot water. After all this shocking news, a congresswoman then asked Trump if Trump ever asked Cohen to threaten anyone, to which Cohen said, yes. And she asked, well, how many times? And he said, a lot. And she said, 50? And he said, more. And she said, 100? And he said, more. And she said, 200? And he said, more. And she said, 500? He said, that's about right. So now, things are really starting to heat up. Then one of the congressmen asked Cohen if there was any other illegal things that Trump has done that he knew about, and Cohen said yes. So, what are these illegal things? Cohen said he couldn't discuss them because of an ongoing investigation in the Southern District of New York. And this is where some people in the room went, oh no. You see, the New York court investigations, they're not restricted like the congressional investigations. They can go after anything and everything. And now we find out that the personal lawyer of Trump is working with them. Then the testimony took a different turn, getting into Trump's deals with Russia. You know, the hotels, which he said he didn't pursue, and yet he was pursuing them into his presidency. Why is this so big? Trump needs the Russian government to back the deal, and that could be worth hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. Now things are starting to look a little clear to everyone. Okay, wait, not everyone. The Republicans in the room never asked Cohen any questions about this or even about Trump. They're mostly just called Cohen a liar. In fact, one of them held up a big giant poster that said, liar, liar, pants on fire. Said something about your mother teaching you that. Well, by the way, in my experience, that is something you learn on the playground, just like the first one that smelled it propelled it, not from your mother. Anyway, there were so many emotional, riveting exchanges in the 7+ hours of exchanges between him and the congressman. But what did we really get from all this? Well, entertainment. It was most entertaining. So, the president broke the law numerous times. They can't indict a sitting president, right? But there are some things said that are going to lead to other things, such as that 28-year-old super hot congresswoman that asked a very interesting question, which is now going to make it relevant to get Trump's tax returns. And there we will find out if Trump is really a crook. Okay, so what? So what if Trump is a crook? Most of us from New York knew this way before he was president. Maybe Roger Stone will flip, and he will, by the way, and will say that Trump knew all about the Russian hacked emails. Okay, great, but here we go again. So what? All they are doing is telling us things that we kind of already know about the US president. But you can't indict him, and you can't impeach him either. That's unless you have 2/3 of the vote in the Senate, which they are not going to get. Here's what I think was the most important thing about this whole crazy thing. It came down to when one Republican congressman, who's going on and on and on about Cohen's lying before Congress, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then he finally asked Cohen to answer this question. He said, "You call the president a cheat. So if he's a cheat, what would you call yourself?" And Cohen replied, "A fool." It was stated earlier that the Republicans aren't worried about Cohen lying at the hearing. They're worried about him telling the truth. The truth that he was a fool. The Republican Party used to be about conservative values, religious beliefs, military strength. But what are they now? What are the 33% of the U.S. population that backs Trump now? Mostly very religious, middle to low income Americans. In the past, when a politician was even suspected of having sex with a woman other than his wife, or talking about grabbing a woman's private parts because he could, he would have to resign right away. If a politician was even suspected or investigated for working with a foreign enemy, they would most likely be put in prison. The issues with this hearing is that things just don't seem to matter anymore like they used to. Some people will just go along with literally anything as long as it's against what they are against, even if it's not good for them. And this is happening not in just the U.S. You know, the key word this week in the U.S. was not bombshell. The key word, unfortunately, was fool. This is Eric LeCain here on The Jam on DZRJ Radio, the voice of the Philippines. My name is Eric LeCain, and we are talking about interesting